Yes, we're talking about the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar, a coin shrouded in controversy, minting mistakes, and jaw-dropping auction records. Now, here's the kicker: this coin isn't just rare, it's infamous. The 1979 produced some of the most famous proof mint errors in US history. So stay tuned, because by the end of this video you'll know the hidden secrets behind the 1979 error dollars, how to spot them, and why collectors will pay life-changing amounts of money for what looks like an ordinary piece of change. The background, to understand why the 1979 is so valuable. Let's rewind to 1979. The US Mint retired the Eisenhower dollar because it was too big and heavy. People didn't like carrying it. So, the Mint introduced a smaller, quarter-size dollar featuring Susan B. Anthony, the women's rights leader and suffragist who changed American history. This was groundbreaking, the first circulating US coin to feature a real woman. But it quickly became controversial. The coin looked too much like a quarter. Vending machines, the most valuable 1979 error dollars, off-center strikes. $5,000 to $3,000. Double strikes. $2,000 to $10,000. Wrong planchet errors. For example, struck on a quarter blank worth $50,000 to $60,000. Auction records that shocked collectors. Let's talk about real numbers. In 1979, Type 2 PR70 sold for nearly $20,000. A rare off-center proof strike brought over $15,000. A spectacular wrong planchet proof error soared above $70,000 at auction. These records show how even tiny differences like a mint mark style can lead to staggering values. How to identify one: proof versus business strike. Proofs are mirror-like and sharp, business strikes are duller. Both can have valuable errors. Weight and color. If the coin feels off, it could be a wrong planchet. Obvious flaws: off-center, double strike, or clipping equals $. If you suspect you have one, get it graded by PCGS or NGC. Why collectors pay so much? Why would anyone spend thousands or millions on a small dollar coin? 3 reasons. Rarity. Some of these errors exist in single-digit numbers. History. The Susan B. Anthony dollar was a first in US history. Investment. Rare coins rise in value over time. For serious collectors, owning a rare 1979 error dollar is like owning a piece of American history and an investment that could keep climbing. Could you have one? Here's the exciting part: these coins are still out there. Some were tucked into proof sets in 1979. Others slipped into circulation by accident. Estate sales, coin jars, or inherited collections may still hold undiscovered treasures. Imagine finding a proof coin set in your attic and realizing it holds a $20,000 Type 2 clear S or even a $1 million wrong planchet error. That's why you should always double-check. The legacy of the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar. The Susan B. Anthony dollar may have been unpopular with the public, but for collectors, it's one of the most exciting coins of the modern era. And the 1979 with its famous mint-mark varieties, dramatic proof errors, and unbelievable auction prices, is the crown jewel. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar, how to spot the errors, and why collectors are paying life-changing amounts of money for coins that look almost ordinary to the untrained. Yes, the Susan B. Anthony dollar, a coin many people once dismissed as a failure, actually hides some of the most valuable mint errors and varieties in all of modern US coinage. And when we talk about the 1979 the Philadelphia Mint Edition, we're stepping into legendary territory. The background: to understand why the 1979 is so special, we need to go back to the late 1970s. At that time, the Eisenhower dollar had been in circulation since 1971. But it was huge, heavy, clunky, and unpopular with the public. People complained it was too much like the old silver dollars, and they didn't want to carry it. The US Mint decided to create a smaller, lighter dollar coin. And in 1979, they introduced the Susan B. Anthony dollar, the first US circulating coin to feature a real woman from American history. The most valuable 1979 error dollars: off-center strike errors. Off-center strike: a slight 5 to 10% off-center might bring $2,000 to $4,000. Double strikes and multiple strikes. Some examples show Susan B. Anthony's portrait doubled, shifted, or distorted. These coins have sold for $6,000 to $8,000. Clipped planchet errors. These clipped 1979 errors usually sell for $2,000 to $3,000. Dramatic double clips or curved clips can push values higher. Wrong planchet errors. Some of the most jaw-dropping include 1979 P struck on a quarter planchet worth $15,000 to $30,000. Auction records that shocked the coin world. Here are a few real-world examples of how valuable the 1979 P errors can be. A 1979 P wide rim MS67 sold for nearly $10,000. A dramatic off-center strike brought over $6,000. A rare wrong planchet error skyrocketed past $40,000 at auction. And experts believe that as time goes on and fewer pristine examples remain, these prices will only climb higher. How to identify one? Here's your checklist to see if you might have a valuable one. Check the rim. Wide rim means near date, which equals big value. Look for off-center strikes. Anything misaligned is worth checking. Examine the metal. If the coin looks strange in color, size, or weight, it could be a wrong planchet error. Mint state condition coins in MS65 or higher are exponentially more valuable. If you think you have a rare error, don't spend it. Have it graded and authenticated by a service like PCGS or NGC. Why collectors pay huge money? You might be asking, why would someone spend $10,000 to $40,000, or even $1 million on a coin that was supposed to be worth only rarity? Some of these errors are literally one of a kind. History. The first small-size dollar, honoring Susan B. Anthony, is an important piece of U.S. history. Investment. Rare coins don't just hold value, they often grow in value. Collectors see them as treasure and investment. That's why the bidding wars get so intense when these coins hit the auction block. The legacy of the 1979 P dollar, the Susan B. Anthony dollar, may have been ridiculed when it was released, but today it's a superstar of modern numismatics. The 1979 P, with its wide rim varieties and dramatic mint errors, is the crown jewel. From $100 finds to $1 million rarities, it proves that even modern coins can deliver historic value, and the story isn't finished yet. Experts believe there are still undiscovered varieties out there, just waiting for someone like you to find them. Controversial coins in American history hide some of the most jaw-dropping mint errors and rare varieties ever discovered. And the 1979 D error Susan B. Anthony dollar. Oh boy, this is one that can shock you when you hear the insane prices collectors are willing to pay. So stay with me until the very end of this video, because we're about to uncover the history, the secrets, the mistakes, and the record-breaking values that turned a simple dollar coin into a fortune. The birth of the Susan B. Anthony dollar. By the late 1970s, the U.S. Treasury wanted to introduce a new small-size dollar coin. The Eisenhower dollar, which had been circulating since 1971, was large and bulky, almost like a silver dollar. People didn't like carrying them around, so, in 1979, the mint introduced a brand new design, the Susan B. Anthony dollar, honoring the legendary women's rights activist who fought tirelessly for women's suffrage. This was historic. It was the first time a real woman, not a symbolic figure like Liberty, appeared on U.S. circulating coinage. Errors of the 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollar. Off-center strikes. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value. A mild 5 to 10% off-center might bring $2,000 to $5,000. Double strikes and multiple strikes. Double strike 1979 D coins are extremely scarce. Some have sold in the $2,000 to $7,000 range, depending on how dramatic the error looks. Clipped planchet errors. Clipped 1979 D Susan B. Anthony dollars usually range from $2,000 to $1,000, but rare, dramatic examples with strong eye appeal have hit $5,000. Auction records that shocked collectors. Let's look at some real numbers that sent shockwaves through the coin community. A 1979 DSBA struck on a Susan B. Anthony planchet with a full double strike sold for over $15,000. Another off-center strike with partial design missing went for around $6,000. And a spectacular wrong planchet example. A 1979 D struck on a foreign blank sword past $30,000 at auction. Every time these coins come up for sale, collectors open their wallets wide, knowing how rare and historic they are. How to identify a rare 1979 D error dollar? Now you're probably wondering, could I have one of these rare coins in my collection right now? Here's what to look for. Check the rim. If the rim looks wider and the date is closer to the edge, you might have the valuable, wide rim, variety. Look for misalignments, off-center strikes, double strikes, and other obvious flaws or gold mines. Examine the metal. If the coin looks lighter, darker, or different in weight, it could be a wrong planchet error. Mint mark and details always confirm it's a 1979 D coin, as Denver mint errors are especially prized. And don't forget, grading matters. A coin in MS67 or higher can be worth multiples more than one in circulated condition. Why collectors pay so much? So, why are collectors willing to spend hundreds of thousands or even millions on these rare dollars? 3 reasons. Rarity. Mint errors, especially dramatic ones, are one of a kind. No two are alike. History. The Susan B. Anthony dollar marked a turning point in U.S. coinage history. Investment. Rare coins are tangible assets. Unlike paper money, they hold and even grow in value. That's why when a rare 1979 D-era dollar shows up, collectors go to war in bidding wars. Could you have one? Here's the exciting part: these coins are still out there, collectors and even everyday people still find 1979 D-era Susan B. Anthony dollars in and sometimes even in circulation. Imagine paying $1 for a soda only to realize later you handed away a coin worth $35,000. That's why checking your coins is so important.